O say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming,
Go to the website and check out our selection today.
Join Mark and Tom for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need: gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper, so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm, so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt. Put men of God in jail. Harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn. And your daughters visit doctors so their children will be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear, be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now, as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home brave? God bless you. God bless this republic.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first hour of the afternoon Intelligence Report. I'm Mark Kornke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, east, northeast, and central. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to us on LibertyTreeRadio.4MG.com, IndianaFreedomTalkRadio.com in memoriam, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet Hallmark and Golden Spike Technologies, east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good.
Well, this of course, was very painful and difficult.
The outlying two states, the two territories, and the clock. It is 5:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Monday. It is the 30th of December. It is the 11th year of open Fabian socialist and Soviet socialist occupation of America with a K. 2019 Old Earth calendar. 2019 year of conflict, year of betrayal, but they only got another day left to really do some evil betrayal. I mean, tonight and tomorrow, and then they're screwed. I mean, they're going to have to, well, no, they're not, because they'll just come around and do 2020 betrayal, which they've been, well, they're already planning on doing. Hell, they even pre-filed their betrayals and their attacks and their arrogance. Come on, that's what the whole thing with Virginia's about. We're not even in power yet. We're going to be filing bills, and we're going to pre-file them and got them in the system. Wow, that's amazing. Nobody's done that like we're seeing you people do this. It's because we're special. They call me the special. And yes, they are. So, anyway, couple things here. First of all, we had an attempted church shooting over the weekend. One person did finally die from their wounds that was shot by the attacker, but as is known, and of course another who's still apparently critical, may have even passed away, who knows, while we're doing the program. It could have happened before I even started the program. That's how close it is. However, everybody did what they were supposed to do, pulled out their personal weapons, and one person put a shot on the beaner and knocked the target down. The only disagreement I have with that is you put the target down, you move towards the target, you put 2, 3, 4 rounds in the crotch again, too, just to be safe. In other words, well, as somebody has said in a few other videos, done by some of the other shooting circles, you shoot until you're empty. That doesn't mean shoot him in the head, let him drop, and then keep putting 15 rounds into the wall or 13 rounds into the wall or, 7 more rounds off that 1911 into the wall. That means moving and adjusting and blowing the ankle off, hit him in the crotch 2 or 3 times because he came in and already shot somebody, and if anybody asks, you were just real excited and you saw him twitch. So twitching is acceptable. That means shoot. So rather than any possibility of the turd getting up again, you put 1 or 2 other rounds on target, you just keep saying you were excitable. After all, you're not a trained professional. Remember that? Oh, I'm not a trained professional, so I just kind of got excited there. But I think I got him. See how that works? And it's like, what's your point? Well, you should have done this. I'm not a trained professional. I'm trained, but I'm not a professional. I don't get paid to do this. That's those other whores. Okay? So, most important here is, again, couple of things have happened. Number one, there are a bunch of people who posted the original footage of the shooter because it was caught obviously on the cameras, security cameras for the church or whatever they have. And so it was very, very specific. Now, they started pulling it off because it was graphic. And it's like, wait a minute. Okay, so what happened? The guy, you don't get a really clean picture of anything. It's, typical security camera plastic lens. Most people don't realize that's where the real problem is with most of our optics. You get some reasonably priced stuff, but it's the lower end or mid-grade plastic lenses that are being used, which is why getting some of the clarity that you normally would expect of a better system. Well, it's not a better system. They got a pretty good price for it. They bought a big pile of them. They're all hooked up, but because of that, they get the basic work, but they aren't going to do any super detail like you're getting an epic television or movie quality image. Okay. So there's not that great a detail in watching the punk, you know, in fact, I assume he's a Jewish guy with, of course, hatred for Christianity and, you know, blah, 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 communism. He's for communism, et cetera, you know, blah, 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 blah. They really haven't pulled anything out of their arse that doesn't surprise me so far, okay, except that they're going to cover up on the Kabbalistic rule stuff. They're going to cover up on the Jewish connection without a doubt. But it might bleed out for a minute. Ooh, pardon the pun. Anyway, so they've got these pictures, and you have the first person who actually was trying to pull a weapon is one of the people who was shot. The second person does get his weapon out. I understand it was that if you time it, I didn't bother. About 3.5 seconds, the first guy didn't get his gun unholstered. He got shot. The other guy, at the 5-second mark, has his gun out. Because the guy's engaging the other person, the guy's able to bring the gun up, put it on target, pull the trigger, knock the target down, okay? Most important, if you've seen any of the other still images, is the number of other preparatory shooters, everybody ready to, you know, follow up. And that's really important because everybody else should have been grabbing their hymnals, their hardbound hymnals. What? Yeah, you know. If you're close by and one of the guys can't get a shot, you got a book handy, turn the outboard corners of that book onto that guy's head, aim for the temple, and start smacking him like it'll beat its way right through to the soft, chewy stuff on the inside. Go to town and go ape crazy. Seriously, okay? You got to remember that. Yeah, everybody else, although nobody was, you know, there are a few people that, you know, were thinking of panic, but most were staying physically observing the target in one form or another. And with everybody armed and kind of like ready and waiting, as the old saying goes, the poor bastard didn't stand a chance. And that's pretty obvious, which is why there's, you know, the cops were very, you know, nice about, you know, saying, well, we're really great, the people did what they did. Well, yeah, but understand that half those cops standing there are the same ones that tell you they would like to confiscate the guns next week. So they'd rather have you as a disarmed peasant so that the royalty can pee on you when they want to, or most of you. Some of the others would be royalty, too, because they get special permits, and you wouldn't. And you would be a slave, and the rest would be have special dispensation to be less of a slave. Still a slave, but less of a slave. Okay. The other thing here is an interesting thing Nancy played for me earlier in the day, which apparently is all gone from everywhere, where the one cop, if you pay attention, he said the government came in. They're talking about the shooter. He said the government, and he said it twice. He didn't say it once. Did anybody catch that? Now, I watched it myself. Nancy showed it to me, played it for me, and it was also on the Facebook post some of you guys made, which, by the way, are all gone now. Everything's been purged. And I want to get to that about the shooter because that's why I was bringing up the quality of this image. You know, if you go to Facebook or if you go to YouTube or if you go wherever it is or you've got a search engine, search for is a video, John F. Kennedy assassination. Now, it's really fascinating to me. They don't have any problem showing the president back and to the left, back and to the left. Oh, and by the way, he got shot back and to the left and back. Oh, look, there's a chunk of watermelon on the back of the car, too. Must be watermelon. Ooh, it looks pinkish. Yeah, remember? Back. And you know what? They'll let you post as many images of a president getting shot in the head all day. And they're proud of it. They just, I mean, dudes, there's so many copies of that. It's like ad nauseum. Back and to the left. Back and to the left. Or to the right or to the left. Depending on what the angle of the camera was. Or the fabrication. But anyway, fact of the matter is, they pulled this because it was just so graphic. Man, I've seen presidents shot over and over and over again. What's the big deal with some punk getting, you know, that was going in to shoot up a church, getting, you know, his butt whacked, and really it was kind of fuzzy anyway. But every chance they could, they have pulled as many of those videos. Of course, people keep posting, and they keep pulling, and people keep posting, and they keep pulling, and so it's been nonstop for the last day or two like that. But it's hysterical, and also, you know, there's a lot of hypocrisy involved here. Here's another thing: you go to YouTube, you know, 27 minutes of people in car accidents, and there's like the guy is like a rag doll going through the windshield, bounces off the back windshield of a car, launches him up into the air. He tumbles over the front of the car, hits a pole sideways, And when he hits the ground, he's not moving. Well, that's okay. You can watch those all day. But when it's something where they don't want the punks that they want, especially ones that they're mentally conditioning to be the next shooters, the last thing you want is for the wannabes or the I wants to see that, well, everybody's waiting for them now. What did I say? I've said this for years, but especially in the last couple of years here, it's like hunt them harder than they're hunting you. Now, the only good thing that came out of this, because it's never good when you have a situation where anybody's attacked like this, but the church did a good job of acting now, not just reacting, but acting on the disturbance. Or in other words, not reacting, but responding. And everybody did well. Just got to remind everybody, see how good they did? Now, the challenge is to do better the next time. In other words, if everybody actually is paying a lot more attention, there's one or two that are primary security, it's going to be like the good old days of the 16 and 1500s, when the gun racks used to be in the middle of the aisle with the pews so that the muskets were right there handy if they were needed to defend the church or the community. Oh, they don't show you that in most of the movies because most of the cowboy movies are anti-gun to begin with, contrary to what you might think. Especially during the Red 20s, when the big thing was gun control and blah, 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 blah. Because you got to understand, by 1927, you had a whole sweep of gun confiscations across the country in the United States. 1927, remember? I've mentioned this many times. Before the Great Depression, because they knew the Great Depression was coming. So you guys all need to turn your guns in, because when you all get pissed and find out we're stealing all your gold and money, you might shoot us. So you guys got to turn in your guns, wherever the Jewish mob was in total control. Like, wait a minute, Chicago. That's right, Chicago is where they did that. In fact, there are newsreels showing them after they confiscated the guns in 27. They're taking them on barges out to Lake Michigan and dumping them in the lake there. You don't remember that? If you're my age, you do. Only because of some of the historical stuff they kept showing in, and the boats churning water. The skyline of Chicago is in the background, and they're taking these big, greasy barrels of pistols and guns, and they're putting them up on the gunwale of the barge, and they're dumping all these guns into Lake Michigan. You don't remember that? You haven't seen that? I have. Many, 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 many times. Black and white, real clear imagery, too. Good silver screen. Really good quality silver screen. So anyway, fact of the matter is, again, the only thing I see about it is that, yeah, they put one shot on the target, and you should follow up because, and the other thing, of course, is also pay attention. Just because one drew your attention doesn't mean there isn't another communist waiting in the wings. So the first thing everybody needs to remember is only 2 or 3 people need to keep their guns on that target. Everybody else needs to be watching the entrances. Just a little heads up. That's the kind of thing you can expect from, Czechos/NSKVD/ communist punks when the time comes, especially when they work in teams. Either government communists operating their, hit teams to create the shooting incident, or some of those inspired by the public fool system and motivated with Ritalin and Prozac. Just a heads up. Remember, they're out there, and we need to get rid of them. And obviously in that church, they did. So, good job there. Next. I already did mention that. Yeah, the government, wait a minute. They said the government came in and did the shooting, and the government came in and did the wait a minute. Everybody understand that? Yeah. You didn't see that this morning? You didn't see it this afternoon. They've made it disappear. So see if we can track down a repost on that one, too. Everybody needs to share. Now, another thing. Guns and gadgets. If you're trying to teach people, to get up to speed on what's going on in Virginia, there's 2 things. Point them to guns and gadgets, because that is the fastest way to get a precise and concise step-by-step report on the developments, where people can easily understand it, and they're not having to spend hours and hours and hours watching something. Okay? They're 5 minutes here, 4 minutes there, 7 or 8 minutes, that's livable. Okay? There's a few that he's done that are like more live that are on archive now, and people can kind of Reader's Digest or cherry pick from those if you want. But there's a lot of good information there. However, not everybody's wanting to spend hours and hours getting basically an update on what's been going on for the past couple of weeks. I would expect that myself because it takes more than a few minutes to get real details. But it's good enough to get people slapped side the head and to realize what's actually happening. So, again, gunsandgadgets.com, or forgive me, .com. God, slap me the microphone on that. Guns and Gadgets channel. I'll get it right there. Guns and, that's the N symbol, like the General Mills N. Okay, G, like the G in General Mills, so it looks like only it's the N symbol. Guns and Gadgets forgive me again. Guns and Gadgets channel at YouTube. Go to YouTube, go to YouTube, go to YouTube. Mark will eventually catch on. One of the reasons, it's a quick tutorial. Now, there has been a bunch of other stuff going on. Michigan does have a bunch of legislation proposed. We really don't know what all is up yet because there's more being added. It is obvious that the January campaign, this January offensive, is in high gear. We have Alabama, Georgia, Virginia. We certainly have got Connecticut. New Jersey is having some problems because they're already commie, but there are some counties that are now following the Second Amendment sanctuary county idea. Whether or not they stick to their guns on that, pardon the pun, well, is anybody's guess, as I've discussed several times, and I'll do it again here during this 2-hour block. Anything goes. Anything can happen. People can, go into brain fart and all of a sudden piss their pants and run for the bush. Don't be surprised. Don't be shocked. Don't be amazed. Just be ready for it and have a solution to deal with the problem when the time comes. Don't panic. Be prepared. Anyway, we got a caller. Who do we have?
Text message. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know what I saw earlier on some of the footage from this morning. Hello?
No, go right ahead. Yeah, we have a little background noise. Sound like somebody crossing one wire with another. Go ahead.
What I saw was the ATF. I saw some ATF jackets there. They were already there. I don't know why they were there, but they were there.
Almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, remember that was a Sunday service, wasn't it?
It sure was.
So does the ATF sit on standby, ready to jump in their cars like police and run down the road on a Sunday?
Nope.
Anybody think about this when you're looking at some of this stuff? It's like when you're having a Sunday church service, here's the thing. A lot of other people are too, and they're usually going to services too. And for anybody to just be right there, Junior G-Man, ready to go, considering the time clock on this thing is really, really compressed. The good thing is the defenders were really well organized. In fact, there's a basic thing. If you look at it, you didn't see much of the congregation panic. Instead, if you'll notice, they were focused on the enemy. Did anybody notice that? That everybody was looking on, staying. People are trying to get out of the way. If you're close, you're going to do that. That's not what I'm talking about. People are going to get out of the way, or if they're armed, you've got to try to get to your weapon, and you make the effort no matter what because it's not a movie. Just because you get shot does not mean you're going to go down. That's a movie. That's not real life. And in fact, let me point something out. If you got hit really bad, you won't feel it. And you know what's really good about that? As long as you tell your brain to keep moving, you will. Unless it's a spinal shot, guys. They all say if it hurts, it's good. If it doesn't hurt, that's bad. It's a bad one. Well, the good thing about that's the fight or flight thing. So if you actually are that bad, if you're hit to the point where you don't hurt, well, hell, you better make sure unless you don't like all the people around you, take advantage of that opportunity because as long as you're hit bad, you might be dying. And if you're dying, well, the worst that's going to happen is what's already being expected, perhaps. But I'll tell you what, is since you're already hurt and hit, and maybe critically, but still functional, you've got to stay focused on going through immediate action to contact. By doing that, you're contributing. Remember, you might even take another hit that would have been meant for somebody else because the dunderhead's got to try and compensate for you. Here's the other thing. When you put bullets on target, once he's down or it's down, whatever the query thing is that showed up there, well, I'll bet your friends will do first aid for you and try to keep you alive. But the sooner that happens, the better off you are. So the first rule is stay in the fight. That's critical. Stay in the fight. Keep it up. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Because again, this guy was knocked down with one round. It was a pizza pie shot, which is good, but doesn't always happen. In fact, the good thing is that there was plenty of follow-up by all of the other people with weapons ready to put more bullets on target, which is how you need to be thinking about those door entry teams when they come for the guns. Pie plate one, shoot the other in the crotch, hit the other in the butt cheeks from behind, aim where you know it's going to do damage and get through because there's body armor up above, so blow their legs and blow their crotch out. Now, in this case, he could have put a pie plate, like I said, pizza pie shot, boom. That's good, but it doesn't always happen that way, Ralph. And a lot of your shooters are not as experienced, which is one of the other reasons, like I've said, aim low, aim low, aim low. If you if you destroy the motor function, or for that matter, let's say that guy got a shot in, but it was a grazer, or maybe it shot him in the jaw, maybe it hits him in the throat, but doesn't do an artery thing. The guy's got some energy left. And by the way, what I just told you about not feeling it, if it's that bad, he may not on the other side, so he'll keep fighting too. Which is why everybody contributes to putting lead on target from whatever angle of approach they can. And most all those people could have effectively engaged without any threat to any, to any allies with regard to line of sight fire. There's only a couple in the middle pews that would have had to wait until make sure nobody pops their head up and, ends up being between you and the bullet and the bad guy. So just a consideration there. But the fact that the bat faggots are there really, 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 really quick, where were the bat faggots that they were in uniform, in combat kit, and down the road? And by the way, Tex-Mex, any idea what the window or the time of activity for that was? How quickly they showed that they were on the ground?
I don't know, because I saw this morning on the local, like Good Morning America. They showed them. I mean, you could tell, the shooting had already happened, and they were milling around in their little blue jackets. I guess they were like an investigating team, but they were there and they were moving around, and you could tell that they were doing some sort of investigation. But I was just real curious to see, it said ATF big, real big on their blue jackets. And the other thing I was going to say was that this is the second time in a church shooting in Texas that there's a euphemism for us guys our age. I don't know if you've heard it, Mark, but we're called boomers. It's supposed to be kind of disparaging. Well, all I can say is that it's been two Texas boomers took out two church shooters, so don't mess with Texas boomers.
Right. Well, again, the guy looks to be, I would say, older age. Okay, I would assume he's in his 50s or maybe, like myself, 60, right around there, or middle 60s. Again, the important thing is enough confidence, and I would hope training, just refresh training, like we've said, muscle memory. Told everybody, and you don't have to go to the range and fire a conventional arm to do that. Go get yourself an airsoft, a decent airsoft gun, one of those for about $100. You can buy a match up to whatever gun you own, guys. And the new ones in CO2, now there's even newer ones that are in 177 and 17 caliber. They do everything except go boom. And the feel's correct, the weight's correct, the muscle memory's identical, the controls on the guns are identical. Hell, the new ones even have slide recoil. So when you pull the trigger, it does everything but go boom. Well, you know what? You get a lot of muscle memory out of that. You keep squeezing that. You screw that gun into target repeatedly, and you pull the trigger, and you squeeze that gun right into that target. You roll it right in, line the sights up, and boom. And
Mark,
go ahead.
One other observation I had was that, they've got name, number, manifesto of every shooter that they want to publicize. This guy, I've hardly heard anything about him. There's something going on because they've hardly said anything about him. No name, no nothing. And they always have something. They always bring it out. I mean, like I always like to joke, Lee Harvey Oswald was named the shooter even before he knew it.
Right. Well, what's interesting, if that's the case, here's the problem they've got. If he's a Kabbalist, remember, they've learned to roll up the carpet on that. And since right now they're pushing the Jewish mob big time as being the chosen, Trump just did his anti-First Amendment thing where you can't say anything against the Israelis or the Jews on campus now. Well, you'll be charged with a crime because if you say that you want to boycott Israel, you know what? Who the hell is that punk in Washington or any other punk to tell me who I want to boycott or don't want to boycott? But right now, he just made it a crime on campus to do that. Well, the chosen, most of these characters are Jewish mob, okay? Jewish Fruit Loops. And what I'm wondering is if there isn't a Kabbalistic altar in his backyard, just like the other one out of Arizona, because they did the same thing. Initially, they talked about it. There's even a picture of the Kabbalistic ritual statue he had in the back, but it was covered partially with a sheet, because it's Babylonian. And then they shut up completely about it, and then they gave you no more information on him. They made it all disappear. This time around, they had a leash on it right away. And again, it's like, well, who is this little piece of trash?
Hey, Mark.
Go ahead. Jump in there.
It's so again. And, remember, he wrote that executive order. That's not a law. That's only a directive for the education department. That really is not a law. So try to indict somebody on campus and try to say one of these kids did something and said these things, it's not law. And so
it's an executive. He signed that as an executive order during his little Hanukkah BS. But it's an executive order. Nobody will oppose it. They never do. So he signed it as an executive order for the you can't touch Israel garbage, but it's still a violation of Article 1 of the Bill of Rights. The big thing is the fact that like Tex-Mex is saying that they're and I haven't seen anything. That's why I was curious. I was going to ask next. What has anybody seen about who this creature was? And the fact that there's this big vacuum hole. I mean, this is an event. There's two things they don't like about it. Number one, it was shown that, you got crazies out there, but guess what? When everybody else is ready to deal with the problem, the crazies don't survive. Well, if they want to keep pumping the anti-gun issue, number one, this is something they don't really want to show everybody a whole lot. Because it's like, wow, you're better off shooting them and killing them, and then there's not a whole bunch of other casualties. And again, I'll do first aid on mine. I won't do first aid on him. So that's the part that gets me about this is the fact that they're not giving you any old juicy details, and then they even pulled the images off. I'll tell you what. Anybody pay attention to the door that he came in the images? I haven't been able. I've watched maybe 3 or 4 of the videos, and again, like I said, I went back to watch them, and they've been pulled every time. But anybody watch behind him when he came through the doors? What's going on outside? Phyllis, have you seen any of the videos? Uh-oh, we might have lost Phyllis. Well, this is what I want everybody to do. If Phyllis, you're choppy for some reason. You're kind of breaking up. I don't know why.
It's because I'm
Oh, you're mobile?
Yes, but I'm back. I'm on foot. I'm not on car.
Oh, you're really, I barely could make out what you said. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'll come back when I get out of the woods.
There we go. That sounded a little better, but not much. That happens. That's the only thing with cell phones. But, Tex-Mex, anybody else? Guys, have you gone through the videos and looked behind him when he first comes in? That's one of the reasons I always question, again, they don't have any problem showing a dead president. You can watch where John F. Kennedy gave his brains blown out 100 times in a row, and it's perfectly fine, and they won't pull it from the YouTube, and it's out there even in all kinds of ABC, NBC, and CBS pieces, which I'm a little confused at, because then you have this fuzzy, grainy shot of this guy getting plugged. Oh, we can't show that. Well, why not? I'd say it's a pretty good glory shot, doesn't everybody? Isn't that a good thing to show how you're going to come in and shoot up a church, and we're going to punk your butt down right there on the spot, and you're going to die? I think lots of people need to see that, unless you're the anti-gun people and you don't want everybody else to get the idea that they can defend themselves, or if you're a big police state government You don't want everybody to get the idea that you don't need the big police state, right?
Hey, Mark.
Yep, go ahead. There we go. We got you.
This is really interesting because it just came to me. I think it was on From the Trenches World Report that I read this article about Biden. He went in and he was criticizing. He said that the governor of Texas is irrational because he signed a bill letting people that go to church, which he didn't have to sign this bill. It was just kind of stupid. But anyway, signs the bill and says, oh, if you go to church, you can carry a weapon. Well, isn't it interesting that happened in September, and now we're in December, and they're trying to attack these people? So now what are they going to do? Say, look what happened. Look what happened here. You know, we didn't have as many victims as we wanted. And look at that. Look at that. Those people in the church were crazy. Look at them. They shot that guy. How dare they defend themselves? You know what I mean? You understand
right.
What I
That's
mean?
exactly what that's the only option that they have. This is where we get to the point where the cacophony is insane. That the noise that they're going to make is irrational stupidity, but it's normal for the irrational and stupid that we're dealing with. I mean, they sly, but still stupid. Okay, and they know it. There is no common sense argument for this except remember, if you want a plebe population that you can go steal from when you say roll up the stock market and roll up the money supply, and you want to steal everything from everybody. Well, if people all of a sudden get the uppity idea they can actually defend themselves, they might defend themselves from a big police state who's following the orders of an international banking cartel whose job it is to go out and steal from everybody and take your property and turn you into, fertilizer. Okay? Instead, you decide that, if I can shoot that slob coming in with a gun, I can shoot the other slobs coming in with the black uniforms of the guns who think they're going to steal the church pews and take the anything valuable out of my house. Instead, I can kill all of them. And that's the one thing they are trying to beat down or put down no matter what. Oh, the cops gave lip service to this, but I guarantee half those cops there are given the opportunity to confiscate guns so fast to make your head swim. I don't care about the ones who say, "Well, I wouldn't do that," or I can't comment, but implying that I really would am with you. When in reality, when the time comes, really would they be? Always remember that about this dribble, because I've watched this for years. And then when push comes to shove, it's like, we all just got to turn your guns in, or they passed it, so now we just got to let the communists have their way. And you see, that's where the problem with this is. See, Texas, like I said, there's pluses and minuses, but Texas, the cowboys are all castrated. They can't have an open carry pistol on their hip. So congratulations, they really couldn't say anything about the people carrying the guns in church. The governor really didn't have any say in that at all. None of them did, if they were following that basic thing that they always prattle about, which is separation of church and state. So the church is a private piece of property, not a publicly owned piece of property that the state has latches on, except we do know the 501c3 scam does that. But if you were to ask the average person, they would tell you, well, no, the church is private. Well, then who's the governor to tell you that you can't have a gun in church? Who's the government to tell you can't have a gun in church? I want everybody to think about that. The church can't come down and use any rationale for trying to, impose quote unquote morality on an immoral government. But the immoral government can come down the street now, and they're trying to tell you they can just come in and impose whatever kind of will it wants on the church. Where, well, wait a minute, the immoral didn't want to be here in the first place. You probably burn their souls every time they step through the door.
Please remember the 501c3s.
Right.
That's how the government can keep control of these churches.
Right, that's what I said just a minute ago. That's what I'm saying. The 501c3 is we understand that, but if the average person, if you ask them, they don't understand what we know about the 501c3s, and that's the problem. In that respect, see, that's where they're just giving lip service to the whole separation of church and state garbage. That's already been thrown out the window quite some time ago with anybody that's a corporate church. Oh, I'm sorry, a nonprofit corporate church, as opposed to being a real church. See, we got into that for decades, remember, with Dixon, and everybody teaching everybody about the difference between the church, a real church and the 501c3s. But however they're comfortable with it, the bottom line is the people that were armed knocked down the one or more, because you don't know. Like I said, I would like to, if everybody could, turn your eyes back to the doors of the church. Especially pay attention to behind the character if there was any other foot traffic activity behind him. Okay, remember we've talked about this many times about the handlers or other shooters. If the lead guy comes in and he gets popped, you're not going to have the rest of the shooters come in. By the way, this guy was dressed in what? Black, and wearing black, and he was wearing black, and he was wearing more black, wasn't he? Wow. Remember what those little Mexican women said when the shooters came in? And then, of course, they had that one kid they shot. They got all by himself. Originally, they said there were 3, 4 shooters, and it wasn't that kid. So the other thing to watch is what was going on outside. Were there people standing outside? Did anybody get shot maybe outside the door? I don't really know the format here of where the casualties all were. And the fact that they're not giving you a whole lot of really glorious details on the corpse they have means, is the corpse going to be gone in 2 days and maybe back over in Haifa or Tel Aviv? Think about that one. Because usually, and it has nothing to do with glorifying the turd, I would glorify him and say, shot dead, shot dead. Blatzenstein Cohen shot dead after he went into the church. He went in to shoot the church up because he hates Christians, and he got shot dead. But you see, they didn't do that because it's really great to be able to mention, he's a Fruit Loop, he hated Christianity, he wanted to shoot up a church, and he came in and he died. And then he came in and he died. And he came in and he died. And that's all everybody needs to keep emphasizing. But we really do want to know who he is.
Hey, Mark.
Yep, go ahead.
Have you seen any executive orders that say that we can't say anything about Christians? Or we're not allowed to kill Christians?
No, we Christians are the target of the Jews, so therefore the Jews can have the Christians attacked in every way you can imagine. After all, who's got their tentacle up trumps ours.
Now, isn't that interesting that this was a Christian nation, and now the Christians are on the ones that are being defiled and killed and maimed, and it's kind of interesting, don't you think?
But we're slowing it down now. Have you noticed something here? This is why they're also not talking about Virginia. There's 5 different locations I went to real quick before I did the program. I stopped at each one, told them to go to Guns and Gadgets. I asked her real quick, hi, how you doing? You guys know about Virginia? And everybody looks at you real stupid-eyed like, huh? No. You haven't heard anything about Virginia here? No? Okay, well, go to Guns and Gadgets. Go over to YouTube. Go to Guns and Gadgets. Well, what's going on? Well, they're going after the guns. But I'll tell you what, go back about, 2-3 weeks worth of videos. Watch all of those, and it'll bring you up to speed real fast. And you know what? I didn't stick around to explain. I've done this many times, and it's the most successful way, because they're waiting for you to say more like you're trying to make a convert, and it's like, I don't have time for that. They wrote down Guns and Gadgets. I saw them do it. And it's like, you know what? You're going to have to educate yourself. Goodbye. I didn't even say that. I'll just say, yep, got to go. See you. Goodbye. Take it easy. And Happy New Year. But every one of them, not one of them knew, only one, and the wife is the one who knew, and the guy that was there was the husband, and he said, well, my wife said something about going after guns in Virginia or something. And it's like, yep, that's it. You need to go follow up on that. Go to Guns and Gadgets over on YouTube and watch the videos. They're very concise. They're very narrow. They're very easy to understand. That'll bring you up to speed real quick. So 5 locations where I know there's at least 20, 30, 40 customers, 50 major customers, because some of them do heavy machine work. So I got to figure they got walk-in customers all the time, but they've also got however many employees, and nobody is talking about it because nobody knows. Guys, don't assume that because you've heard something about this that everybody else knows. You need to get everybody connected as quickly as you can. Why? The fact that they're not talking about it tells you that diversion you're trying to ignore is the attack you have been expecting. Okay? It's that simple. Ignore the garbage with the in fact, it's obviously tripe. I mean, it was tripe before, but the whole thing with the impeachment BS is tripe right from the get-go. It's purely another way from the spin wheels for another however many months. Like I said, hell, they'll be still spinning everybody's wheels and wasting more time and deflecting everything while they're busy killing gun owners if they have their way. But right now, Virginia is totally newsworthy. In fact, that's why I just kind of laughed for us, and I said, isn't it kind of strange that with something that, we're talking about here, how could it be newsworthy locally, totally unique to anything that's been seen in years, if not ever, in the United States in recent times, and not ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, or Fox, FAUX News are covering it? Isn't that amazing? That should tell you it's something important, doesn't it? Tells you real quick it's important. So we just need to be ready for that. And again, what would have happened, like you were saying there, also for all you guys that, pitching in here, remember that the whole idea was there's going to be some more shootings, and that's why that governor of Virginia wants to confiscate all your guns. Well, he's right. There are going to be some more shootings. Anybody who tries to come into a church should be shot for trying to shoot up the church. We can't do anything about schools. Your kids are sacrificed because the punks there aren't going to do anything if they can help it. And a lot of them hate your kids anyway, which if you read some of the stuff over the weekend that came out of some of these undercover cameras, they all hate your kids. The Common Core math people hate your kids. The child perverted services people hate your kids. Everybody hates your kids, but they want your money. I'm not sure think about that. All little snide comments made. So schools you're not going to be able to do anything about. You send your kid to school, government wanting to shoot the kids and then try to set it up so they can, do dirty deeds to you. That's going to be the way it is. But churches or other public locations, if everybody is hunting the enemy harder, we're going to narrow down the only place that the government shooters or the government conditioned shooters can go. And I was talking about this last year, a year before that. If anybody gets smart in the churches, oh look, they did, then that's going to completely negate the value of them trying to go in and kill any more Christians in any churches. Now, if they want to keep trying, it's going to get worse for them because people are going to get better at shooting first. As soon as somebody moves with a weapon, you're going to hear pop, 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 and it'd be like attempted shooter tries to enter church, riddled with bullets, gasping and dying on camera. We can't show you. You see? So, and that's how it should be. Now, the more that happens, less likely they're going to find government employees or even dope-conditioned stooges that are willing to shoot something up when the basic ending is going to be dead and no footnote. We shot 25. No, he didn't. He shot one or two people and three people. Me got him, and he's dead. And we didn't wait for the cops and we didn't just throw books and have a tantrum and hide waiting to be shot. Instead, people had guns and shot back, and that was the end of it. When the police state comes out to confiscate the guns, you bring your guns to bear, you shoot the police state dead, and that's the end of it. Oh, well, no, they'll probably try to come down with more, but then you have to shoot those people who come down who think they're going to confiscate the guns, kill all of them, because like that punk in the black uniform that came into that church, the other punks coming down the road to confiscate the guns all need to die. See how that works? But you understand, that's why they don't want to see this. What I just described to you logic-wise is what's being connected in the way of dots by people all over the country who are tired of this garbage. Tired of the police state. They're tired of the skank government. They know they're all lying. The pigs are working for anybody but America. So why the hell should we have any respect or interest? Oh, you have to have respect because we'll kill you. Well, you already said you're going to do that, so I have no respect for you. How do you like that one? You must respect my authority. No, I will aim for your tie. Actually, lower, like I told you. I'll be aiming for your crotch or your zipper. I won't be aiming for your tie. Is that what you said? Aim for your tie? See, that's our problem with this situation, is the other side has been getting away with way too much, and it needs to have the kibosh put on it. We need to put the kibosh to this, son. That means smack it down hard. We're going to put the kibosh to it. When we're done, we're going to go find out who sent them down the road and put the kibosh to them, too. I'll say that'll work out quite well. But, again, everybody that can, until they pull all these videos, looks like they pulled most of them, go back, watch when the guy gets into the building, look behind him into the vestibule or the channel area where he enters the main church. And was there other camera footage? Because did anybody see any other camera footage that was released and they realized, oh, God, we can't do that? Because I got this funny feeling there was more than one camera in the church. You know what I mean? It's not likely there would just be one camera in the church. You got to figure there were more, right? So what about the rest of the footage? Can I watch him as they pulled him up to the driveway there in the black van with the government plate or with the Israeli consulate plate on it? And the three handlers got him out of the vehicle, and they told him they were going to be right there with him, and he had to be the entrance guy, and so he ran through the door, and the shots started to get fired, and the other three Peckerwoods that were there, the big schnozzes underneath the balaclavas, they all sucked a little extra air to bring the cloth up into their nostrils. They all jumped back in the van, and that Israeli or that U.S. government van went back down the road without their shooter. Oh, that's not good, which is another thing. If it's one of the four that normally come in and shoot, then they have the dump kid they drop off, the reason you're not getting any information on who it is because it's a foreign government national, an Israeli Mossad agent. Or U.S.
Were these people, were these extra actors seen? I mean, I haven't heard anything about it until just now when I tuned in.
Right, that's my point. That's what I'm asking. Think about it. That's what we need to be looking for. If you have other footage, that's what needs to be seen. That's it. That may be there. They're pulling everything. Like I said, I've watched the video, like I said, I think 4 times. Only because all you guys keep sending me the video as an email or send it there in the beginning of the day. Last night, way late last night, and today. All those videos are gone. They've all been purged by YouTube. The links, when you guys send them, when I go back to them, it's been purged by YouTube or it's been purged by Google. Well, why? The video isn't that great, and it's not like you get to see a big chunk of, lasagna smeared up against the wall. The headshot was a nice, tight, hard headshot, boom, down, and he's done. In other words, it's no worse than watching Kennedy being shot 1 million times on television since I've been a kid. And if you don't have any problem on YouTube, you can go and find Kennedy's assassination all day. And there's more graphic image there than there is in that church shooting. So why pull it? Well, it's because there's more information in there they don't want you to see, is my attitude on it, because otherwise it's a great piece of don't mess with the church, you get your ass shot. Why would you not want people to see that? You know what? You go to the church, you thought everybody was a pushover. Grandpa there will kill your ass. Don't you want everybody to see that? You want everybody to show respect. They have no problem with a cop showing the cops beating people down because they love that, because you're supposed to be terrified of their authority, right? Well, then why not show all these people, or all the people who pay all the taxes for all those knuckle draggers who want to beat your head in? Well, how about we're showing our authority? I think that's a wonderful thing. And they know it's a wonderful thing, too, which is why they don't want anybody to see it now. And here's the other thing. Put it in light with what's going on in Virginia. See, there's all kinds of overlapping issues here. There are all kinds of things that if you start thinking, well, hell, I can defend myself. Well, first it's against some punk who comes in to shoot up a church. And the next thing it's going to be when a bunch of punks show up to confiscate some guns. All of your friends get together. Hell, we can kill those bastards just like we killed that other communist bastard that came to the church. Well, they can't have that when they got to have their little communist knuckle-dragging black uniform KGB types show up at the door to confiscate the guns. You're all supposed to be cowed-down plebes and slaves and beg for forgiveness for existing. Because the cops are all powerful. The secret police are all powerful. They die just like anybody else. Well, yeah, but you're not supposed to be able to think about that. And if we show you images of basically, you know, what's the difference between a cop coming to confiscate guns coming through the door and that guy that went into that church to shoot the church up? Absolutely nothing. And you know what happened? There's an image of him getting his ass shot and dying right there on the spot. There wasn't any extensive firefight once the defenders put their guns on target. Hell, the guy went down with the first round. Well, you know what? Bat faggots, secret police, foreign troops, you shoot them in the head, shoot them in the crotch, shoot them where it counts, they go down just like that guy does. And they wear the same uniforms, the same black uniforms, same black head-faced, you know, gear, the same helmets, all 9 yards. So I need a script. But you know what's really bad? Like I've told everybody before, if they send robots out, think about this. If they send robots out, you'd have a tough time getting people to shoot people. Well, you send robots out, and you start killing the robots, however you figure out how to do it, because, you know, they're already bragging about, like, the dog robot and all that. So you start killing them. Well, you know, once you can show people that they can kill the robots, then you explain to them they need to kill the person operating the robot, and they won't have any problem with that because the robot killed one of their buddies, and then they killed the robot and several other robots. Now they're going to want to find the robot operator and slaughter him. That's why these images, you don't want the peasants to think they can take care of themselves.
Well, they did better than the Broward County Police did at that with the UPS driver.
Hell yes. Yeah, they shot less and hit more, didn't they? So I don't think a trained professional, I've told you this many times, the trained professional doesn't mean much. You know, trained professionals work on street corners with red lights over their heads. Does that mean much to you? No. That's how I look at most of the trained professionals. Prostitutes are professionals. They get paid well. Not exactly, you know, what we say your first choice of profession, to say the least, but also it's just representative of the same thing with regard to the term professional, okay? These people took it seriously, methodical grandpas, methodical grandmas, and adults, and it's like pop down. So now what are you going to do? And by what I've seen of the write-up on the guy, there's a picture of the portfolio that's out there. He's just a regular person who actually, you know, practiced with his pistol, knows how to use it the way he's supposed to. So he did better than, like you said, Tex-Mex. He did better than all those stinking cops blazing away against that poor UPS driver.
Yeah, one shot to the head.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I call a trained professional.
Yeah. Or at least, let's see, a profession. Here's the term. He's a proficient amateur with professional tendencies.
Those trained professionals are nothing but revenue enhancement agents.
Puck, boom. Oh, he's down. Can I shoot him? Well, there's a camera running, but you can shoot him if you do it fast. But if you wait too long, they'll try to use it against you. You know, you got to think about that, too. If you think you want to get your shot in, I'm going to tell you right now, when Bob fires and shoots like that, you better run up and go, he's twitching, and fire 5 more times real quick, because otherwise you're not going to get a shot in, just like you saw there.
You mean just like the trained professionals do?
Right. He's twitching. He's twitching. Shoot him, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. And then somebody gets hurt, because you got to remember, it probably was a concrete floor. That's the only thing about this is, like, nobody thinks backstop most of the time. It's true. And in fact, Spald bullets will get you just as bad, if not worse, because remember, you flatten them out, they're pancakes, and they sometimes only lose about 200-300 feet per second. And guess what? Next thing they hit one of you, like your knee, your shin, or something like that, low level. Oh, dude, there's not a whole lot of extra stuff, but bone and sinew down there. And you get hit in the shin with a helicopter blade like that. Oh, dudes. It's ugly.
Building, right?
Yeah. So that's just one. Oh, we're at the top. Guys, we got to take the top of the hour break. We are at 2 minutes after, so we should hear the music. And for everybody out there, again, it is the end of the year. Here it is, the 30th. If you can take the time and donate, we, of course, Ed's posted, I think, most of the donations to date. Actually, probably can do an update. I think we got a couple more in the post office. For everybody out there, it is, of course, the middle of the week again, where, you know, the holiday is going to be tomorrow, 31st to the 1st. So be careful on the road and pay attention. The idiot stick cell phone operators will get you killed every time. When you're coming up on somebody, especially at night, watch for the ding of a cell phone next to the person's head. Before you even think to pass, ensure that you've observed to see how the person is driving. If that's the case, get the hell past as quick as you can and be ready to dodge with an idiot stick move over into your lane. Because it is as likely as not. I've seen so much of this in the last couple of years. Like I've never seen, even when we've had cell phones, I've never seen the piss poor driving like we've seen in the last, I'd say, year and a half to a year. On a level that is just insane. Anyway, we should be hearing the music. We are at the top. God bless our
Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves.